This is the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric, on your exclusive home for Pitt State football, 860 AM KKOW.
There's a snap, turn, right side, Wilson, cut back. First down up the middle at the 10, the 5, touchdown, Ryston Wilson. He hurdled a defender into the end zone for 6 points.
The Coach Beck Show is brought to you by CDL Electric, Foley Automotive, KSN Television, Via Christi Hospital, and Watco Companies. Now, let's go live to Chatters with the voice of the Gorillas, Eddie Longshett.
And good Monday evening, Pitt State football fans. Welcome to Chatters Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburg on our final installment of the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL, as the Gorillas concluded their season this past Saturday, but concluded it in good fashion. 26-14 win at Missouri Southern, the Sonic Miners Bowl, a 19th consecutive in the series, 26 out of 27. So, Coach, I know a lot of people in the area probably wondering, boy, was this a year for Southern, because you were coming off the game against Lindenwood, had lost 3 out of 4. They had just been guaranteed a winning season. You knew you were going to get a pretty good shot from them, and you know, they go 6-5 in the league. It's a solid team and a good win for you.
Yeah, it was a really good win for us. You know, we were a little concerned on how our heartbeat was after the loss to Lindenwood, and they were coming off a big win, and you know, we were a little concerned because of what we had to play against, defend the triple option. I know Coach Wiemers and our staff, defensive staff, did a tremendous job getting our guys prepared for that. But yeah, the week went by really fast. We had several really good focused practices, and you know, I was really proud of how hard our team played, and we saw some adversity and we were able to handle it and come back from it. So we saw some really good things that will be really good carryover into the offseason.
Yeah, it was you had to earn this one, and you knew they weren't going to lay down, and they had their answer out of the locker room. I want to go back to the week of practice. On Thursdays, we go to the stadium for our weekly media stuff, and they bring in a player from each side of the ball, and you and both players that day, Gus Toka and Aaron Kolich, they talked about doing more in full pads and how physical a practice week it was late in the year. That's not always the case, but talk about that decision leading into that game.
Usually you try to cut back towards the end of the year. You know, a lot of times you just go, we're full pads on Tuesday, and last year was a great example of that. We were at a point where by about 3/4 through the way through the season, we went full pads on Tuesday and just helmets and shoulder pads on Wednesday and Thursday. But because of the nature of what they did offensively and kind of where we were at, we felt like it was important to be full pads Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And Coach Lever would probably agree with me. You probably just need to be full pads every day, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. Just be full pads Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you wouldn't have to wonder if you're in full pads or half pads. But you know, the bottom line is it was going to be a physical game. We knew that. We haven't been cut near as much as we were going to get cut. Our defense in that game for what they do offensively. So we just felt like it was important to go full pads all 3 days, and another part of that was just getting some close to live reps. We got a lot of live reps on more on Wednesday than Tuesday, but and then we just felt like we needed to get a few more live reps of the triple option. So it was important for us to get after each other one more day.
Option or not, you ever play a team where they have their lineman O-line in a 4-point stance?
Well, it's been a while, a long while, I think. You know, part of that I think is you know, they're going to keep the guys really low and coming off the ball, and then a lot of it is they're going to take up as much of that play clock as they can. They want to shorten the game, and there's no bones about it. They were going to try to shorten the game as much as possible. And so with a lot of the things they did with the short motion, then they'd stop to kind of see what kind of adjustment you're going to make. A lot of that was just, you know, that you can't be in a stance for the full 40 seconds like that. So a lot of it was just to kind of save them a little bit, and so kind of understanding, you know, why they did that.
I'm glad they didn't have the old turf. Remember the old artificial turf had all the sand on it, and that wind that day, it would have made it feel like we were out in the desert, but it was a factor. I talked to you on the field before the game. I said, if you win the toss, you're going to defer, and you said, we might take the wind, and there are a lot of angles to that, and one of those is that they ended up getting the ball both halves, but you normally win it, you do want to defer, but talk about that choice given those conditions.
Well, you hate to do it against a team like them just because wind's not going to be a big factor for their offense. But we still just felt like, man, if we could kick off and pin them and get a 3-and-out, which we did the first series, or two, which we got a couple of them, we just didn't cash in on them offensively. And so we felt like a year ago it was a big deal with us against Missouri Southern. We did the same thing last year, had a really windy game with them last year, just felt like that was the right decision. Now, maybe his even tougher decision was at halftime. We had a lot of talk with our coaches about, okay, they're going to take the ball, but should we take the win now or in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
And you just don't know. You can't have, you don't. What's the right decision there? And so we finally pondered it for quite a while and just decided to go ahead and take the win in the third.
Well, it all worked out, but and we talk about weather conditions a lot because they can be a major factor. But boy, a deal like that, I mean, they're extreme. You think about, well, you get the wind at your back, you'll throw it all over. That wind affects the ball when it's at your back even. I mean, that was a relentless wind.
Yeah, absolutely. And who would have thought, their quarterback ended up being 4 for 7 and Anthony 3 for 11.
Yeah.
That's what when they ended up. And you're exactly right. It was affected it a lot, both directions. And we threw a fade into the boundary with John late in the game, and I thought, boy, just watching him get released and getting vertical, I said, well, this is a touchdown. And then the ball was thrown out of bounds, and Anthony doesn't miss that one very often. So I think the wind really did affect it both directions.
Yeah, even at your back, it was a brutal situation, but in the end, Pitt State did enough going both directions on both sides of the ball to get it done, 26-14. We'll step aside, take our first break, back to unfold that first quarter. Back to Chatters on the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric, right after this.
Are there spaces in your home or business that you just can't keep cool? They're called hotspots, and while there are cheap solutions, they usually become a bigger problem. Introducing Mr. Slim ductless air conditioners and heat pumps from Mitsubishi Electric HVAC. Mr. Slim installs discreetly in just a few hours. It's quiet, built to last, and affordable. Mr. Slim ductless air conditioners and heat pumps available at CDL Heating and Cooling in Pittsburg, Fort Scott, and Nevada. Find them fast in names and numbers.
Gorilla fans, for the best Pittsburg State football coverage, tune in to KSN 16, your hometown sports. I'm Eric Kinnett. We'll have those highlights after every Pitt State game, and during the week, we'll have the latest news and preview the next opponent. And don't forget about the Tim Beck television show every Sunday night on KSN after the evening news. So if you love Pitt State football, check us out. KSN 16, your hometown sports with Eric Kinnett.
In 1983, Dick Webb started a contract switching business at the kitchen table of his Pittsburgh home. It took one man with vision and determination who thought he could to launch an international company that is proud to call Southeast Kansas home. This vision and determination is practiced every day by the 3,000-plus team members that serve our customers and follow Watco's Customer First Foundation principles to improve customer satisfaction, improve profitability, and do all for the long term in a safe manner. Watco supports Pittsburgh Community Athletics and wishes the Pitt State Gorillas the best of luck.
Here's the snap. Chevy runs deep. And the pass. Holy moly. Chevy Silverado with a big catch.
Chevy Cruz blocking the competition. And look at Silverado go.
Chevy outperforming everyone.
Chevy at the 10, the 5, touchdown. Moley Automotive.
Moley Chevrolet GMC of Pittsburgh wins the game. And all fans get up to $8,000 off all remaining 2012s in stock.
Moley Chevy GMC of Pittsburgh, your four-state Chevy Buick GMC dealer. Proud supporter of Pitt State Gorilla football.
Moley Automotive. Best price always.
Because your life matters, Via Christi Heart Center in Pittsburgh has made major investments to install the latest heart imaging technology, which can mean faster diagnosis and more effective treatment for a variety of heart-related conditions. Because we understand that when we're taking care of your heart, nothing is more important. Via Christi Heart Center, because your life matters.
The mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle.
A tight end and a wingback left. Spradling left of Avinoan to gun. Single coverage on John Brown to the right. He'll motion the snap. He will hand it to John, sweeping left at the 5, upfield, inside the pylon. Touchdown, Gorillas. John Brown left side, 8 yards on a hand sweep, and Pitt State has drawn first blood.
8:60 a.m. KKOW.
Welcome back live to Chatters Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburgh. Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL. That's good music bed for that first play there. Good one by the Tokens. So good to be king of the jungle for another year at least. Coach, they do get the ball, touch back. You had about 8 of them. Connor kicked that ball to Webb City a couple of times on the kickoff, and that's, with the win, there's no doubt that's what you want to do. And eliminate the return. They had some good guys. They had a kick return for a touchdown this year. Early on, you defend the option very well. And in that, first thing you told us on postgame was defending the dive. Their fullback is 5'10", 230. He's averaging about 4.5 yards on the year. And if you get that out of your dive back in the option, that's a good play. Talk about the importance of that first series, setting that tone of taking away that midline dive.
I think our coaches did a tremendous job getting our guys ready up front, and I think I was a little more worried than they were about them getting the fullback established because, you know, you'd seen him several times break a 10, 12, 14-yard run against people, and we just did a really good job all day for the most part, and most of the time our defensive tackles and ends played the dive and rolled the linebacker, or the linebackers rolled the quarterback, and you know, we had a few things where we mixed some things up, but that's what we did the majority of the time, and our defensive linemen did a good job of taking care of the fullback. And
talk about the alignment, because there were a lot of times your two interior linemen are shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, that's one of the things Coach Weimers and Coach Helwig came up with. You know, the week before Truman State had played double three techniques, so, you know, they were outside shade the guard the whole game. And there's not a real good way to defend the midline as much. I mean, you can help yourself on inside veer maybe, but not as good against the midline play because you're going to read the three technique on the midline play. So, you know, we decided to go with some double ones and really bottle up things up inside. And you know, part of the way they block things, we felt like our five techniques or our defensive ends could get down to the dive. So we mixed some things up, but we did play that quite a bit.
And then also the 4-3 alignment. Tyler Disney on the field almost all the time with Wincheffel and Droding. So one less safety back there. Talk about that decision, more of a 4-3 look.
Well, you know, it was something that our coaches, again, came up with, and we just felt like we wanted his speed on the field. You know, that was part of it. And then there were a couple different things we could do with him out there. And that, you know, he had had enough reps throughout the season. That linebacker, we felt like he would play well. And, you know, after watching what happened and everything, I think he played really well. I think he had 8 tackles and just really flew around to the ball.
Yeah, his lateral speed was good. Joe Uzzle was another one, getting wide. You talk about him, you know, playing the quarterback or playing the dive even with him, but I thought he made some great recoveries and running side to side for you.
You know, Joe, you know, I'm not sure exactly what he weighs right now, but it's somewhere probably between 230 and 240, but you know, we play him at defensive end. We play him at three technique. He's so strong that he can go in there and battle and play. But we also timed him, you know, in a low 4.6, high 4.5 in the off season, so he can run. You know, he can run, really run, and that's definitely advantageous when you're defending the triple.
And one other thing is getting to the quarterback, Cox. Kellen Cox is not very big. They list him at 5'10", and probably generously at 183. But, you know, quick-footed enough. If he turns a corner, he's going to get vertical. And one thing Aaron talked about in that game was you got to keep hitting him. And whether you think he has the ball or not, he's carrying out a fake. What's the importance of making sure you know that, or making him know he's accounted for?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm amazed that he was still going, you know, week 10, week 11.
He had 190 carries going into the game.
Because early on, he took some big shots throughout the season. You can just tell his toughness and determination because, you know, I understand he's a tremendous kid and very good student and just a great leader for them. And he'd taken some shots all year. So it's one of those things where some of the things they can do with the midline and the quarterback follow, and some of those things are really hard to stop for 3 or 4 yards. So, again, it was a really good job by our guys up front.
Well, you do get the quick 3 and out to start the game. You get the ball back, and first play of the game, I don't remember what went wrong, and then you have a snap to John Brown. Maybe that was it in the Wildcat. Talk about the stuff you were doing early offensively.
Yeah, the Wildcat play, I was upset that we kind of didn't handle that because we were getting ready to do something with Marquise, and I thought that was going to be exciting. And then, you know, we got a couple of nice Wildcat plays later that worked out well. But, you know, just didn't get off to a real smooth start and you know, needed to take advantage of the field position and didn't.
Yeah, that was kind of the theme of the first half as much as anything because they get it back at their own 20 after a touchback. You get them 3 and out again. You get it back, and there was a fumble. That's what it was. And then you get it back. You're on their 27. You end up going backwards. So some penalties there. You've had a team that I don't know where you finish the year penalty-wise, but it just seems like there's been a knack of some really untimely ones, field position-wise.
Yeah, as far as penalties for our team, we're not that bad at all. We're actually towards the top, but the problem is just the timing of them.
Yeah.
Is exactly right. We just really untimely penalties really cost us when we'd have a big play and bring things back, and that was really kind of Achilles heel for us the last 3 or 4 weeks.
The one early was Castaneda, illegal touching, and he got up the sideline, and obviously he didn't do it intentionally, but did you get a good look at that, at how far he was out? Or
You know, I haven't got a good chance to watch that on video yet, and you know, I saw him, you know, we ran a little bar out, and the guy stuffs him right there at the line of scrimmage, and he kind of wheels out of it, and he's making contact at the same time he's wheeling out of it, so I could see where it could go either way.
How much do you know, that brings up the point of receivers run their route, whether it gets stuffed or when they see the quarterback roll the pocket or get contained, what do you tell your guys on how to break off their routes?
Well, when you're, once the route breaks down or the pocket, you know, breaks apart and the quarterback scrambles, if you're short, you go long. If you're long, you come short. And if you're in the middle of the field, then you go across the field, and you don't make sure that you're not in anybody else's way. You want to adjust to the quarterback and make sure we don't have 2 people in the same position. So Andrew did exactly what he needed to do. He ran a little 5-yard bar out. They played press man coverage and locked up on it, and then he wheeled out of it. And as he wheeled, he goes out of bounds, and that's what they called.
Yeah, that was just it. When you saw the ref throw the hat and then the flag, you kind of knew that was coming. That said, you handled it well. Another punt, another touchback. Southern had thrown 20, another 3 and out. So 3 series for them, no first downs, 1 takeaway by your defense. I thought as much as anything, first down success on defense was going to be key. You can't let them have 2nd and 4. What a first quarter for your defense.
Awesome job, awesome start. You know, we just everything that we asked them to do, they got it done, and it was a good physical start for our defense.
Then you finally get good field position. They're going to punt that ball away from John Brown, and 33-yard punt, and even with a roll, you still get it at your own 45. You have a couple of conversions. You get down there and score. John Brown in motion. You know, later in the game, the key 3rd down on Wildcat, you run him across, you put him in the backfield and do things with him. You've had to defend guys like that. Talk about their presence when they start motioning around the field.
Well, his speed is just it's really hard to, you know, match his speed. You know, we actually had a punt fake that we really wanted to use into the wind too, that we were going to run him across the field and hand the ball to him as well, and just felt like you know, that we needed to maybe do that at some point and never did get to it. But you know, he does a lot of things for us. The thing about his speed is he can stop and freeze you or freeze your feet and then get going again really fast in a hurry, and 0 to 60 in a hurry. So, you know, just a good day by him, and made some big plays for us.
His knack of getting yards on the sideline when seemingly there's nothing there, and that touchdown run just inside the pylon, do some guys just have that? They just know how to get the most out of that little real estate?
Yeah, you know, that's a good point, and he's got that burst about him. You know, the one that sticks out is the punt return against Delta last year, because he had so much momentum going towards the sideline. And it was just amazing to me, the balance and his ability to keep his feet in bounds. Because, I mean, he's running full speed right at the sideline and then gets it right up the sideline. And you don't see many people be able to do that, and it's very impressive.
Very impressive, and he's just a junior, so that's an awesome thing. Well, it was a 7-0 lead for the Gorillas late first quarter. Southern would answer. We'll step aside, take a break. When we come back, we'll get more through the first quarter and the first half. Eventually a halftime lead for Pitt. Back to Chatters with more of Coach Tim Beck after this.
Digging deeper to make ends meet, now you can get a 30% tax credit with a geothermal heat pump system from Climate Master. Climate Master geothermal systems tap the constant temperature of the earth to provide heating, cooling, and hot water while keeping your home comfortable all year long. Plus, Climate Master systems are incredibly efficient. If you're interested in saving up to 80% on your energy cost, call CDL Heating and Cooling for a free estimate in Pittsburg, Fort Scott, and Nevada. Find them fast in names and numbers.
Because your life matters, Via Christi Cancer Center in Pittsburgh is equipped with the latest treatments and the expertise needed to accurately treat all types of cancer. We realize that when we're treating cancer,
we are really treating people
who, more than anything else, want to receive the care they need while staying close to home. Via Christi Cancer Center, because your life matters.
Here's the snap. Chevy runs deep, and the pass. Holy moly! Chevy Silverado with a big catch.
Chevy Cruz blocking the competition, and look at Silverado go.
Chevy outperforming everyone.
Chevy at the 10, the 5, touchdown, Moley Automotive.
Moley Chevrolet GMC of Pittsburgh wins the game, and all fans get up to $8,000 off all remaining 2012s in stock.
Moley Chevy GMC of Pittsburgh, your four-state Chevy Buick GMC dealer. Proud supporter of Pitt State Gorilla Football.
Moley Automotive, best price always.
Gorilla fans, for the best Pittsburg State football coverage, tune in to KSN 16, your hometown sports. I'm Eric Kinnett. We'll have those highlights after every Pitt State game, and during the week, we'll have the latest news and preview the next opponent. And don't forget about the Tim Beck television show every Sunday night on KSN after the evening news. So if you love Pitt State football, check us out. KSN 16, your hometown sports with Eric Kinnett.
In 1983, Dick Webb started a contract switching business at the kitchen table of his Pittsburgh home. It took one man with vision and determination who thought he could to launch an international company that is proud to call Southeast Kansas home. This vision and determination is practiced every day by the 3,000-plus team members that serve our customers and follow Watco's Customer First Foundation principles to improve customer satisfaction, improve profitability, and do all for the long term in a safe manner.
Right hash at the line, 44. It is 2nd and 8. Two backs this time. Motion Rampy. The snap. It will be Luke Rampy on the hand sweep. Upfield at the 30. Sideline at the 20. Shake and bake at the 15. The 10. The 5. Rampy on his feet to the end zone. Touchdown, Gorillas. Luke Rampy. An electrifying 44-yard run in the Gorillas. Right back on top.
8:60 a.m. KKOW.
Welcome back live to Chatter's Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburgh on the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. That was a great play by Luke Rampy, and we'll get to that in a moment. That was early in the third quarter. Out of this second break, we give you the Gorilla Alerts texting service members. Sent this week's Vital Sign Trivia question earlier this hour, and you can sign up for this, be a participant in trivia, player of the game voting, all kinds of good things. So be sure to check that out online. But the question went out and was asking how many consecutive wins has Pitt defeated Southern. They're not going very far up the degree of difficulty on this one. The choices were 17, 18, 19, 20, and the correct answer was 19, of course, now. And Brian Smith of Sedalia, Missouri, knew that, and he will win a pair of tickets to the men's basketball game next Tuesday against Newman, courtesy of Vital Signs and Pitt State Athletics. And to learn more about Gorilla Alerts texting service, go to the athletics website, pittstategorillas.com, and click on the Gorilla Alerts button, a free service. You asked me at the break, the Chiefs going to win tonight?
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
you said no.
I know. I'll be shocked if the Chiefs win tonight. I might walk to work tomorrow if the Chiefs win tonight, so we'll see. Well, you get out to the good lead, Coach, and then, gosh darn it, what's almost been an identity of this team is sometimes not being able to hold momentum. Southern, the other team, always trying, obviously, and they come back and go 75 on a counterplay. And you told me last week that, Nawate 3, number 17, he can get it in the open, and he has that speed gear, and he did. What makes that counterplay difficult to deal with?
Well, one, we had never seen it before. That was just kind of the first time they'd done it out of that formation, and
triple I look,
and the way they had done it. So it, hit up inside, and again, just didn't have people in the right position. And we overplayed it the other way a little bit, and they get somebody on the ground, and next thing you know, he's in the crease, and it's like when he's at about the 15, 18-yard line, you're like, boy, it's going to be hard to catch him. And the other part of it is you just hate to see it when, even though the win's not a big deal for their offense, it kind of is for ours, and so you hate to see that going into the win and get them breaking a big, long run like that, because, you just only get so many times with the win.
Yeah, you were concerned, too, that you told me that this is a game you may get 2, 3, 4 less possessions because of how they can do that. That turned out not to be the case because of that big play for them, a quick score in the third quarter. So I guess that was good. You ensured yourself more possessions, letting them score quicker.
What's amazing is their two scores. One was that play, and then the other one was just 3 plays.
50-yarder that set up a short run, yeah.
And then in combination with that, the 3 and outs that we had several 3 and outs that when you put those together, it gave us a chance to be right there with them with time of possession, which was pretty amazing, as well as they had handled time of possession all year.
Yeah, you guys they were 1 and you were 2 in the league, and time of possession can be a deceiving stat. In this game, you were just under 32 minutes. They were just over 28, so not quite a 4-minute. But I thought what was impressive, and because you had the long drive in the fourth quarter, when you have the lead in the fourth quarter, you're 10:30 time of possession. They're only 4:30.
Yeah, that was huge, absolutely huge. Had a really nice long drive that took some time off the clock and kind of did to them what they like to do to everybody else, and so it was really important for us to be able to handle the ball that well.
After they go 75 on a touchdown on the counter play, you get the ball back here at your own 35. Third play, Anthony throws a pick. Looked like a safety just jumped in front of a slant there, maybe.
Yeah, that was we actually put John in motion, I believe, and ran 3 receiver route, and John ran a little corner route, and their guy was playing in man coverage, and right off the break, and he breaks right underneath him and picked it. So it was just one of those things that, it's hard to cover. It's really hard to cover a number 3 receiver on a corner route like that, and they were just in the right coverage, and their guy made a really nice break on it.
Well, they get the ball back, and this was one of a couple times today, or in this game, they kind of had momentum, but your defense stiffens. You give up a couple of first downs. They had a 15-yard penalty tacked on it, and then they're backed up to their own 35. So you give up a couple first downs. They punt it, 14-yard return, which is good. Personal foul when John's hit out of bounds. So you're out at your 35. So even though the field got flipped a little bit there, you did a good job of that. But go 3 and out, and then they come back with the ball. They move it. And I look at these series, their last 3 series of the half, 2 first downs, a punt, 1 first down, a punt, 2 first downs, a punt. So you have to be willing to bend, don't break sometimes.
Yeah, and you anticipate being exactly like that during that game because you know sometimes they're going to get a first down, and then you got to start all over and let's try to get it 3 and out. And again, we just other than those 2 really big plays, I felt like our defense just played about as good as they could play.
Well, one of 2 takeaways. You had one earlier on a fumble caused and recovered by Joe Uzzle, and then this one was a bad pitch by Kellen Cox, and they're at their own 36. They had run a play. They had a first down. Then you go after Cox, and it's a bad pitch behind the guy. It's on the carpet, and so Wincheffel's on it for you guys. And, well, that's a big turn late in the half because you're going into the wind to have that kind of field position.
Yeah, and it was more than just a bad pitch. It was caused by Nate Dryling. He was all over the guy, and it was funny. He came over the sideline, and I knew he did. And I said, "Did you cause that fumble?" And he goes, "Oh, Coach," he goes, I've seen this 1,000 times in practice in high school." I said, I know that. I was wondering what took you so long. I figured you would have had something like that happen early in the first quarter.
Every series.
And he's like, well, I'm going to get another one too. Just watch. But he didn't.
Well, you look at that. Dryling there. Wincheffel was an option quarterback in high school, a little bit of power eye, run the ball at Smith Center. You guys have that option background as well. Even though you hadn't seen it, do you feel like being familiar with the nuances of the option offense was helpful in preparations?
Yeah, I think so. And like you said, again, Nate's seen it all the times he's seen it and had kind of an idea what to do and what not to do. And our coaches, we've got enough coaches that have been around the option a lot, and Ryan Hellwig and Steve Wells and Dave Weimers, and the list goes on and on and on. Coach Cullen and Coach Groff, and so like I said, they have a good understanding of what you needed to do and how to defend it. But even though that, you still got to get ready in 3 days, and when you're seeing nothing but primarily one-back teams all year, you really got to shift gears and change things around a little bit.
Well, it worked out okay. The fumble turns into points, and although the first one didn't, there were different phases of the game that complemented the other in this game. You're at their 45, 2:02 to play. You had a couple of timeouts left. You end up using those, but Connor Frizzell makes both field goals for you on the day, and again with that win, especially into it, nothing routine. But what was your mindset up 10-7 at halftime?
Well, my mindset was I wish we were up about 20-7, but just felt like we had missed a couple of opportunities offensively. Hey, we were up 10-7, and they had some opportunities. I felt like we were playing really good defensively. You knew they would make some adjustments to change some things around a little bit. That's what option teams are going to do, and find a way to take advantage of something that you've been doing. So you knew things were going to come out and maybe be a little bit different, but we were happy to be at up 10-7.
The reason coaches have gray hair, and you're not too bad, but kickoff after the field goal, they have 2 guys run into each other at the 20, and they still get it out to midfield. You holding your breath at that point?
Well,
they're going to take a shot.
The first thing was we we told Connor, whatever, we went hard squib it. You want to keep it down so it runs the timeout. So whatever you do, Connor, don't squib it to 17, and it goes right to 17.
He runs it right to midfield.
But that's one of those things. If another time we were trying to get it up high, and he got it up high in the wind and takes it out of bounds too. So I mean, he in his defense, it wasn't like it was really easy, and it's not something that we do a ton of, the squibbing it. So it was a tough deal. But yeah, I mean, we were giving the ball at midfield. You know, they're going to take a couple shots in the end zone, and yeah, that was.
And you get a sack and a face mask, and then they line up for a field goal, and that was not out of the question. Those guys, both teams were 65 plus in warm-ups with that wind. And, boy, a bobbled snap, and the football gods were with you there.
Absolutely, and then Marquise is, putting pressure off the edge, and he goes and tackles him, and, yeah, it's like mercy, because that could have been a little deflating if they had kicked the long field goal right there at the end of the half.
Well, it ends up 10-7 at the intermission, and regardless of how much or how little you want to be plus side on the scoreboard, and the Gorillas were a much more fluid second half, and it started with some fireworks early before Pitt State would take control. We'll step aside another break, come back, and get into that second half. Back with more of the Coach Tim Beck Show at Chatters after this.
Digging deeper to make ends meet? Now you can get a 30% tax credit with a geothermal heat pump system from Climate Master. Climate Master geothermal systems tap the constant temperature of the earth to provide heating, cooling, and hot water while keeping your home comfortable all year long. Plus, Climate Master systems are incredibly efficient. If you're interested in saving up to 80% on your energy cost, call CDL Heating and Cooling for a free estimate in Pittsburg, Fort Scott, and Nevada. Find them fast in names and numbers.
Because your life matters, Via Christi Cancer Center in Pittsburgh is equipped with the latest treatments and the expertise needed to accurately treat all types of cancer. We realize that when we're treating cancer,
We are really treating people
who, more than anything else, want to receive the care they need while staying close to home. Via Christi Cancer Center, because your life matters.
Here's the snap. Chevy runs deep. And the pass. Holy moly. Chevy Silverado with a big catch.
Chevy Cruz blocking the competition. And look at Silverado go.
Chevy outperforming everyone.
Chevy at the 10, the 5, touchdown. Molly Automotive.
Molly Chevrolet GMC of Pittsburgh wins the game. And all fans get up to $8,000 off all remaining 2012s in stock.
Molly Chevy GMC of Pittsburgh, your four-state Chevy Buick GMC dealer. Proud supporter of Pitt State Gorilla Football.
Molly Automotive. Best price always.
In 1983, Dick Webb started a contract switching business at the kitchen table of his Pittsburgh home. It took one man with vision and determination who thought he could to launch an international company that is proud to call Southeast Kansas home. This vision and determination is practiced every day by the 3,000-plus team members that serve our customers and follow Watco's Customer First Foundation principles to improve customer satisfaction, improve profitability, and do all for the long term in a safe manner. Watco supports Pittsburgh community athletics and wishes the Pitt State Gorillas the best of luck.
Gorilla fans, for the best Pittsburgh State football coverage, tune in to KSN 16, your hometown sports. I'm Eric Kinnett. We'll have those highlights after every Pitt State game, and during the week, we'll have the latest news and preview the next opponent. And don't forget about the Tim Beck television show every Sunday night on KSN after the evening news. So if you love Pitt State football, check us out. KSN 16, your hometown sports with Eric Kinnett.
The snap, toss play, Spradling left side for a block, touchdown Gorillas! Spradling cuts it up off left tackle, and Pitt State for the first time today, a two-possession lead, 26-14 with 2:33 to play.
860 AM, KKOW.
Welcome back live to Chatters Restaurant and Bar Pittsburgh, the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lobchek along with the Gorillas head coach, and out of the locker room, you're up 10-7. It didn't last long. They had a 50-plus run from 3 to get down to the goal line. He scored from 3 yards out, and so they're on top and in the momentum. And this is one of those situations in the Northwest, Western, and Lindenwood games where your team didn't necessarily respond as well. And so you mentioned it early on, but they were pushed, and your guys pushed back in this case.
Yeah, they really did. And, it's one of those things. They caught us again on a little counter play, and made the big run. And like I said, Narante's a really fast guy, and glad to see he's graduating, And but yeah, we gave up the touchdown, but I tell you what, our coaches and our players did a good job on the sideline, not panicking and being able to put some things together and go out there and get after it.
Well, you come back with a great drive from your own 10-yard line, and then you had a false start. You're back to your own 5-yard line, so it's a 95-yard field you're looking at. You did have the wind. You get about half of it on the final play. Talk about that run by Luke Rampy.
I tell you what, that's a power read play that you see a lot of people running now, and so you can use a receiver or a running back, and you bring that guy across in front of him, and you read the defensive end, and the offensive line's blocking the power play. So if you're lined up in the eye and run Bryston on the power, it's the same exact blocking scheme, except you read the defensive end. So we'll read the defensive end, and if he jumps up the field, then you'll see Anthony carry it and run it up inside. He ends up following the pulling guard, and away you go. There's a big gash in there if the end jumps up the field. But if the end stands flat on the line of scrimmage, then you hand it, and away you go. And we handed the ball, and we had a couple guys make a couple really nice blocks on the edge. And then, Luke scampered down there pretty quick, and then I'm thinking, well, he's going to get tackled, on the 6 or the 8, 10-yard line. Yeah. And he makes a couple of really nice moves back across and cuts back, and then spins and twists into the end zone. It was a really nice run by him.
Just kept those feet firing, and for not very big, ran with some authority. You mentioned the blocks on the edge. One time Southern was called for a hold. One time I know on a stretch play to Bryston, they thought you should have been called. And we talked a little bit last week about holding in the gray areas and that. Those guys that block on the exterior, you worry about being seen. What are you told about what to do with your hands and the framework of the body?
Well, for the most part, if you keep your hands inside and keep your feet moving and get locked up on them, they're not going to call it most of the time. Now, what happens is if a guy's fighting and trying to get away and they see grabbing cloth, and then they'll end up calling it. But a couple of times we ran those sweeps the other day, they were caught in man coverage. So we're getting them pushed off the line of scrimmage for a while because they've got to run with your receivers, and then getting locked up, which is better because you don't have to be locked up as long. When you have to stand out there and they're playing zone coverage and you get locked up on them and you have to hold that block a long time, then the longer you have to hold it, then the better chances they're going to call holding.
You end up with 299 on the ground. That's a really good day against a pretty stingy Southern run D. A guy like Brandon Williams on the inside, but your outside zone, you had some stretch plays that were really good for you.
We didn't get many yards right over Brandon. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but we didn't get many yards right past him. And, I was talking to Coach Day before the game, who, talked to him about his last couple of years with the Buffalo Bills, and they've had every NFL team in there and 2 general managers, and they're saying right now, which it's way too early to project. I understand all that, but they're still saying there's a chance of late second round, early third round. So he's a big time player, and Coach Wells did a good job of scheming some things, and we had to change some things to be able to double him up front at times because you just cannot single block the guy. He's got too good a leverage and too good a strength. But what our coaches did a good job of was mixing the things up and running like the power read play where we could double him and read the end and get the ball to the perimeter, and then he's not as much of a factor.
Yeah, what a player inside, though, just a load to deal with in there. You get that touchdown, it puts you right back up 17-14. A touchback on the kickoff. They get 1 first down, but you get it right back in a short punt. You're at their 47. That led to a field goal. I mean, this is a pretty good stretch where offense and defense complement each other to get the lead.
Yeah, it really was. And I think after Luke's run, that really sparked us. I think that really gave our guys, really made them feel better and kind of got us going again a little bit. And I think that was a huge part of it. But we were playing hard. It was a physical football game, so guys were getting after each other on both sides, and our like you said, our guys responded very well.
Yeah, and you end up looking at the numbers. 299 on the ground is a good day. Bryston, 14 carries, 80 yards. He had a fumble. Fortunately, he didn't lose it, but boy, for him to average 5.7, and he's not a 1,000-yard season or anything like that. And I know he's fumbled a couple times late, but he's consistently 5.5 yards a carry for you.
He really is. When Bryston, gets his pads going north and south, and when he hits a crease, he's going to end up going forward. And especially one guy has a really hard time tackling him. But there's we just one of those things. It's unfortunate for him. I hate it that he had a fumble there at the end of the game. He was really feeling bad about that, and thank goodness we were able to cover it because we had that fumble at a couple of fumbles throughout the season towards the end of the year, but you know, he had a nice year for him, and I'm happy for him to finish his senior year up like that.
Well, after you guys had scored the field goal, you're up 20-14, and then there are 3 straight punts. There you are with the ball. And, well, I want to go back to the one big series. Southern had the ball midfield with the wind, 11 and a half minutes to play. They had a 5-yard gain on first down, or maybe that was a throw to Zirkle, a 4-yard gain on your side.
Yep.
And then you still force a 3 and out. I thought that was a real key point for you.
Yeah, they picked up 4 or 5 on first down on the short hitch, and then we were able to make them lose 2 or 3 yards on second down. I believe they reverse field, and maybe that's when Pete tackled them for a 2 or 3 yard loss, and then able to stop them. But yeah, that was huge, because you know, they're in great field position, and get 4 or 5 yards on first down. You're thinking, okay, they're always in 4-down territory anyway. They're going to grind it out and you know, cause us problems here. But our defense, like you said, they really stiffened up and did a nice job.
Big play and a good play, and then after you do trade some punts, then comes the drive. The real drive against Southern was a 1-year. You guys ran the final 13 minutes off the clock or whatever and ended up kneeling it out and had, I don't know, a couple 4th down and 3rd down conversions. This one was pretty good into the wind. 12 plays, 80 yards, 6:41 off the clock, and it ends up on the 3rd and goal, a 1-yard run by Jason. The 3rd down conversions had a 4th down. The key play might have been the Wildcat snap to John to get you down in a goal-to-go situation. But, boy, your offensive line, they won that battle.
Yeah, they really did. They really rose up and played hard. And we had Josiah had to go out a time or two because of cramps. So Kel Kerrigan had to go in and go play hard. And he wasn't 100% healthy. But yeah, you got to give our O-line a lot of credit. Cody Holland, I tell you what, Cody Holland's really played well the last 4 or 5 weeks of the year. And even in the Missouri Western loss, he played good and played physical, and some of the things that we were doing on Saturdays right up his alley. So it was good to see him finish with a good season as well.
We mentioned the time of possession in the 4th quarter. 3rd down conversions are huge against running teams. You in the game 8 of 16, but you were 6 of 8 in the second half. Southern just 2 of 11 for the day.
Again, another awesome job by our defense on 3rd down, because they had really been able to get a lot of first downs throughout the season on 3rd and 4th down, and our defense did a tremendous job. There was a couple times where we were uncertain to leave the defense on the field or put our punt block team on the field. Had to make a couple decisions there, but the 3rd down conversions were definitely in our favor on Saturday.
And then the touchdown by Spradling that kind of iced it, 2.5 minutes to go. It's a toss play. Is that designed to go wide, or is that a read on his part to cut it up off tackle there?
No, it's a read, and we toss it, and it just depends on how they're aligned on whether it's going to go inside or outside. It's if they get them hooked, then it's going to go outside. But if they end up having some penetration up the field, then there's a little crease inside that you have to hit it up into. So it's not an easy play for the tailback, really, to be real honest. But Jason did a nice job of making a vertical cut.
And then I mentioned the key play. How about that run by John out of the Wildcat formation where he changed his direction? It seemed like 3 times between the numbers and the sidelines.
Yeah, it was blocked well up front. O-line did a good job, but I tell you what, it was a relief to see, number one, to see us get that run, and then when you see him break that initial line of scrimmage, it makes you feel good. You know he's going to pick up some yards. Yeah. It's just, is he going to score or not? That's kind of the question. And nice play call by our guys, and it was executed really well.
And then there was a reverse to Luke Rampy in there that was pretty good play, and you guys have mixed that wrinkle in, but it goes to show, obviously, that if you get it going in the run game, teams are not ready for that against the grain play.
Exactly right. The reverse has been good to us this year. I mean, we ran about 1 a game. It's it's kind of average about 1 a game, and I think it's probably somewhere between 15 and 20 yards an average on reverse. So it's been a good little change up for us, and have done it 2 or 3 different ways. But it was definitely a good play the other day at the time.
Devontae Bosby gets an interception, the final nail in the coffin, a ball that was overthrown, and just what you want to see. Don't let anybody behind you with 2 minutes to play.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. It's not, you see it thrown to him, and he's 8-10 yards deeper than the receiver, and the receiver, it's just definitely overthrown. It's one of those things, just catch it, and thank goodness he caught it, and then we were able to go get a couple first downs.
His 3rd pick of the year, what kind of year did he have for you?
He started off really good, was playing good, really good, and then had a couple of down games, was a little inconsistent at times, but I'm going to tell you what, that's the life of a corner. You can't, if you're going to play corner, you have to have short-term memory, and I tell you what, he's a talented young man, and he's got some length to him, and he's just a sophomore. So we're fired up that we've got him for 2 more seasons.
Another thing about your defense, you mentioned this the other day that Keyston Terry's been banged up with a hamstring. He had been healthy for this week. How much different does that make you when he was on the field?
Well, we felt good about that because Keyston's a good tackler, and you needed as many good tacklers as you could get on Saturday, and you know, he's a good football player, and unfortunately he missed a few games because of his injury, but it's a good feeling to have Jason Pete and Keyston Terry, those two pretty long safeties.
Yeah.
We got them back for a couple of years, and they're both going to be really good. And Keyston showed his athleticism the other day. He was also a really good receiver out of high school, and he caught that ball going out of bounds with one hand, and it was out of bounds, but it was a very athletic play.
You've beaten Southern 19 times in a row, and people will talk about that, and you know, it's a feather in the hat or whatever, but the rivalry thing is downplayed by coaches and players, what they say in the press, and both, I think, say the right things. It's the next game, and you want to win it, but being 28 miles apart, how important is it to maintain an upper hand?
Well, there's no question you're going to face each other a lot in recruits because of the proximity of the schools. There's going to be some people that we both recruit, and you know, it's you can talk all you want about however many years in a row, but it has nothing to do with that year.
Right.
And the bottom line is you got to go earn it. You got to go play it, and you got to go win it. You know, and it was a good effort by our football team, and it was our guys rose to the challenge, and I'm going to tell you, they played extremely hard, and they were physical, and they wanted it very bad as well. And so for our guys to go out and get that win, it was a big win for us.
They did earn it. 7-3 is a heck of a lot better than 6-4. So it was a good end to a season that unfortunately will not end quite the way we'd all hoped, but still a win nonetheless. We'll step aside, one final break with Coach Beck. When we come back, we'll talk recruiting and this offseason. Back to Chatters on the Coach Tim Beck Show after this.
Digging deeper to make ends meet? Now you can get a 30% tax credit with a geothermal heat pump system from Climate Master. Climate Master geothermal systems tap the constant temperature of the earth to provide heating, cooling, and hot water while keeping your home comfortable all year long. Plus, Climate Master systems are incredibly efficient. If you're interested in saving up to 80% on your energy cost, call CDL Heating and Cooling for a free estimate in Pittsburg, Fort Scott, and Nevada. Find them fast in names and numbers.
Because your life matters, Via Christi Cancer Center in Pittsburgh is equipped with the latest treatments and the expertise needed to accurately treat all types of cancer. We realize that when we're treating cancer,
We are really treating people
who, more than anything else, want to receive the care they need while staying close to home. Via Christi Cancer Center, because your life matters.
Here's the snap. Chevy runs deep. And the pass. Holy moly. Chevy Silverado with a big catch.
Chevy Cruz blocking the competition, and look at Silverado go.
Chevy outperforming everyone.
Chevy at the 10, the 5, touchdown, Moley Automotive.
Moley Chevrolet GMC of Pittsburgh wins the game. And all fans get up to $8,000 off all remaining 2012s in stock.
Moley Chevy GMC of Pittsburgh, your four-state Chevy Buick GMC dealer. Proud supporter of Pitt State Gorilla Football.
Moley Automotive, best price always.
Gorilla fans, for the best Pittsburgh State football coverage, tune it to KSN 16, your hometown sports. I'm Eric Kinnett. We'll have those highlights after every Pitt State game, and during the week, we'll have the latest news and preview the next opponent. And don't forget about the Tim Beck television show every Sunday night on KSN after the evening news. So if you love Pitt State football, check us out. KSN 16, your hometown sports with Eric Kinnett.
In 1983, Dick Webb started a contract switching business at the kitchen table of his Pittsburgh home. It took one man with vision and determination who thought he could to launch an international company that is proud to call Southeast Kansas home. This vision and determination is practiced every day by the 3,000-plus team members that serve our customers and follow Watco's Customer First Foundation principles to improve customer satisfaction, improve profitability, and do all for the long term in a safe manner. Watco supports Pittsburgh community athletics and wishes the Pitt State Gorillas the best of luck.
860 AM, KKOW.
Welcome back to Chatters Restaurant and Bar in Pittsburgh. Eddie Lobchek on the Coach Tim Beck Show. One final segment here, down to the final 5 minutes or so. Big thanks to Ahmad and his staff for having us here this year, and all the good people turning out. So, Coach, get that done. You were in Kansas City today, all conference meetings, and that'll be released tomorrow. Tell people just about that process, how that works.
Well, it's a little bit unfortunate the way it is because we have all the same amount of players that are picked first team and second team and honorable mention. Same amount of players go in as there were a year ago, and we've got 15 teams now in the conference, and so we don't have a third team, so it's first team, second team, and then honorable mention, and so. It's really, really tough to become a first team or second team all-conference player in this conference. And I'll take a position, for example, wide receiver. There's a lot of good wide receivers in this conference, and there's 2 first-team all-conference receivers and 2 second-team all-conference receivers. Now, you think about that a little bit. Think about all the receivers in the conference, and there can only be 4
Well,
guys.
how many people throw the ball and all that?
Well, and we have the same thing at the running back position. So there's some things that need to change a little bit, and some things that will have to be addressed in the spring. But you pick 2 running backs as well, 2 first team and 2 second team. But there's so many teams now that play with 3 or sometimes 4 wide receivers, and most of the time, most teams have 1 running back in the game more times than not. So there's some things that have to be adjusted a little bit, but it's quite a process, and you go through and go by each position, and all the coaches talk about their players, who they've nominated, and say a few words about them. The tough part of the equation as well is the fact that now you've also got to listen to coaches talk about players that you haven't played against.
Right.
And it's one thing to see somebody on video. You maybe see them on video, but you don't pay as much attention to that team because you're watching the other team because you're not playing that team. So there's a few of them that are pretty easy, but then there's some other kids that you don't know and you haven't seen that much. So you just kind of got to trust what the coach says about them.
You look at off-season recruiting, and you never want to completely rely on transfers. You're always going to need to plug some holes. I'm guessing the running back from Auburn's not coming, Michael Dyer, regardless of popular opinion. But where are you looking at? What needs you think you need right now through transfer help?
Well, the first thing on transfers, it's tougher than it's ever been to recruit junior college players right now. And the rules just passed. It's been in effect for a while, but it just now, this sophomore class, they'll have to have 6 hours towards English and 6 hours towards math, and if they do that, most of them are going to graduate from the junior college. So a lot of the kids that we have looked at are Division I type athletes, but maybe have to go to Division II because they maybe can't pass a math class or maybe struggle in English or whatever. So now those kind of kids, if they've got those hours, they're probably going to graduate. Well, if they're probably going to graduate, they're probably going to go to Division I. And when I say Division I, it's the 1AA schools like Missouri State and those schools as well. They're under the same guidelines that the Division I schools are. So there's a lot of those players that get picked up. And some people don't understand. You'll see an offensive lineman and you'll watch him and you'll say, man, I don't think he's good enough to play, maybe here at Pittsburg State. But the bottom line is if he's a really big kid or really tall, can do some things. Sometimes Division I kids are recruiting backups from the junior college as well. Yeah. So. It can get pretty thin in a hurry, and so, I think we'll still try to recruit a few transfers from the junior college, but I think that finding those guys will be harder and harder than it's ever been.
Well, to go 7-3, miss the playoffs a year after a national championship, it's not where you want to be ultimately, but hopefully a lift for your guys when January rolls around and workouts begin.
Well, I think there's no doubt that finished on a positive note. It was a good, aggressive, physical football game, and we felt good about how we played. I think it's unfortunate where we're at in our region, where there's only 2 teams from our conference. 4 teams from our conference went to the playoffs a year ago. This year, there's only 2 teams. You're looking at Emporia State being 9-2 and not getting in. That's unfortunate, but the way the regions are set up right now, there's going to be, the 2 Arkansas schools are in, and they are added to our region, and it's just going to be tougher and tougher to get teams in the playoffs unless they change things around a little bit. If not, you better have 2 losses or less if you think you're going to have a chance to get in.
Yeah, 39 teams now with the 3 conferences, and so it does become more and more challenging. That'll do it for us. Know the coaches will work hard in the off season. We'll get better